I collapsed at work. The world spun like a broken carousel. My knees buckled, and the last thing I remembered was the sound of my coworkers screaming. When I woke up, I wasn't in my office anymore. I was on a hospital bed, the sharp sting of disinfectant in the air and the cold for a needle biting into my arm. My heart was pounding, not just from the weakness in my body, but from the reality I was about to face. The doctor stood over me, whispering something urgent into the phone. I caught fragments of his words. Severe, needs family, call immediately. Then I heard him say it. Call her parents right away. But when the door opened, only one person stepped inside. My sister, Emma. And she wasn't holding flowers. She wasn't holding comfort. She was holding a small black envelope clutched so tightly in her hand, I could see her knuckles turning white. Her face was unreadable, her lips tight like she was fighting the urge to say something that could set the room on fire. I blinked, confused. Where's Mom?
Dad.
I whispered, my voice breaking. Emma didn't answer. She just walked closer, dropped the envelope on my blanket, and leaned so close to my ear that her breath chilled my skin. You're going to want to open that, she said softly. But just know, once you do, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. The envelope felt heavier than paper should. My trembling fingers reached for it, but before I could pull it open, the heart monitor beside me beeped louder, faster, like it was echoing my fear. And that's when Emma's eyes met mine, cold, sharp, almost dangerous. I froze. Because in that moment, I realized my sister didn't come here just to comfort me. She came here with a purpose. And somehow, I already knew it had to do with revenge. But revenge for what? I was about to find out. If you think you're ready to step into the secrets my family has been hiding, stay with me till the end. And please, watch, and subscribe because you'll need to hold on tight for what's coming. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Claire. I grew up in a family that looked perfect from the outside. My parents, Thomas and Evelyn, were what neighbors called the American dream couple. My dad had a successful construction business, and my mom ran a boutique downtown. We lived in a 2-story house with a white fence in Chicago, and anyone passing by would think we were the happiest family alive. But perfection is only the mask families wear to hide the cracks. Emma, my sister, is 2 years older than me. She was the golden child, smart, fearless, and always craving justice. I was the quieter one, the dreamer who wanted peace more than war. Where she was fire, I was water. But that fire of hers, sometimes it burned too much. Growing up, Emma and I shared secrets like most sisters. But there was one secret that changed everything. It began the summer I turned 15, when I overheard a fight between my parents in the kitchen. My father's voice was loud, trembling with rage. My mother's voice cracked like she was begging him to stop. You think I don't know about her? Dad shouted. Do you think I'm stupid, Evelyn? I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I just listened. That was the first time I realized my father was cheating on my mother. And that was the first time Emma's eyes hardened in a way I couldn't recognize. Emma confronted me that night. She told me we couldn't trust him, that he'd ruin everything we had. But I was naive. I wanted to believe Dad still loved us, still loved Mom. So I kept quiet. I tried to keep the family together. Emma didn't. She started watching him, following him, collecting evidence like a detective. She became obsessed, while I buried myself in school, pretending none of it existed. But deep down, I knew. Every birthday, every family dinner, every holiday, it was just an illusion. And then came the day that shattered what little hope I had left. It was a Friday evening. I remember because I had just gotten home from my part-time job, exhausted, when Emma grabbed my arm and pulled me into her room. Her laptop was open on the desk, and on the screen was a video. My father, with another woman. Not just any woman. Our mom's closest friend. I couldn't breathe. The walls closed in, my chest tightened, and I felt like I was drowning in betrayal. Emma didn't cry. She just stared at me and said, "This is why I don't forgive. And this is why he has to pay." I thought she was exaggerating. I thought she meant we'd confront him, scream at him, maybe even leave. But Emma's definition of pay was darker. Much darker. I tried to stop her. I begged her not to let hatred consume her. But Emma only gave me that same cold stare she gave me in the hospital. And then, a month later, something happened that no one in our family was ready for. The police showed up at our door. They were looking for my father, because the woman he was cheating with had gone missing. I can still hear my mother scream when they put handcuffs on him. I can still see Emma standing in the corner, her face unreadable, her lips pressed together in quiet satisfaction. It was the first time I wondered, did Emma have something to do with this? I didn't know then, but I know now. And that night, as my father sat in jail, our family fell apart completely. But here's the thing, you haven't even heard the worst of it yet. Because the next morning, I woke up to a sound that made my blood run cold.
Emma.
Burning something in the backyard. What she was burning was proof. And that was the moment I realized my sister wasn't just protecting us. She was controlling everything. And maybe, just maybe, she had crossed a line we could never come back from. The firelight flickered against Emma's face, turning her features into something almost unrecognizable, shadows swallowing her cheekbones, her eyes glinting like shards of glass. I stood frozen at the back door, my hand pressed against the glass, watching as she tossed another sheet of paper into the flames. The smell of burning ink filled the air, sharp and bitter. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run outside and stop her. But something about the way she moved, calm, deliberate, almost proud, paralyzed me. "What are you doing?" I finally whispered, stepping out into the cold night air. My voice shook. Emma didn't even flinch. She just glanced over her shoulder and smirked, like she had been expecting me. "Cleaning up," she said simply. I walked closer, my bare feet crunching against the gravel, and that's when I saw it. The last piece of paper in her hand. It wasn't just any paper. It was a printed photograph. My stomach dropped when I realized what it was.
It was the same image she had shown me on her laptop. Dad.
With that woman. And just before she let it drop into the flames, I caught a glimpse of something else on the back of the photo. A number. A signature.
A date.
It wasn't just a picture. It was evidence. "Emma, stop." I lunged forward, but it was too late. The fire swallowed the photo whole, curling the edges until all that was left was ash floating into the night. She looked at me then, her expression unreadable, her voice flat. "Claire, sometimes you have to destroy things to survive." I shook my head, tears blurring my vision. "No, you're covering something up. Tell me the truth. Did you do something to her?" Her lips curved into the faintest smile, the kind that made my heart freeze. "If I did, would you still protect me?" I felt the ground shift beneath me. This wasn't my sister anymore. Or maybe this was who she had always been, and I just hadn't seen it. The following days were chaos. My father sat in jail, denied bail. My mother refused to eat, refused to sleep. The press camped outside our house like vultures, shoving microphones in our faces, asking if we believed he was guilty. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Emma, on the other hand, seemed perfectly in control. She walked past the reporters with her head high, answering nothing. She was calm in a storm that was tearing the rest of us apart. And every time I looked at her, I remembered the fire, the ashes, the evidence that no longer existed. The trial began 2 weeks later. I sat in the courtroom, my hands clenched so tightly my nails dug into my palms. The prosecution painted my father as a violent man, a man desperate to protect his secret affair. The defense argued he was being framed. My mother sobbed quietly beside me. But Emma stared at the judge with an expression I couldn't read, almost like she already knew how it would end. And then something happened that made me doubt everything again. The missing woman's body was found, at the bottom of a river, wrapped in a blanket.
The courtroom gasped.
My mother nearly fainted, and I couldn't breathe, because when the photo of the blanket was displayed on the screen, my heart stopped. I recognized it. It was the same blanket from our living room couch. I turned to Emma, my mouth open, my voice trapped in my throat.
She didn't look at me.
She just kept staring straight ahead, her jaw tight. And in that moment I knew. It wasn't my father who had framed himself. It was Emma. The realization hit me like a truck. My sister, my own blood, was capable of murder.
But why?
That night, I confronted her. I cornered her in our room, my hands trembling, my voice breaking. Emma, tell me the truth. Did you do it? Did you kill her? For the first time, her mask cracked. Her eyes filled with something dark, something like pain, something like rage. She deserved it, she whispered, her voice trembling. She destroyed our family. She thought she could take everything from us. I wasn't going to let that happen. My stomach churned. My hands went cold. So you framed Dad? Her lips curled into that same eerie smile from the fire. He deserved it too. My heart stopped. What are you talking about? She stepped closer, her voice low, sharp, almost venomous. You still don't get it, do you, Claire? Dad never loved us. He never loved Mom. All he cared about was himself. He left us a long time ago. I just made sure the world saw him for what he really is. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her she was insane, but the words wouldn't come. I was trapped between fear and loyalty, torn in two. And then the knock came at the door.
Loud.
Firm.
Police.
My mother gasped, clutching her chest. I froze in place.
But Emma?
She calmly smoothed her hair, walked to the door, and opened it like she had been expecting them. The officer's voice was cold. Emma Carter, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice. My mother cried out, No, not my daughter. But Emma didn't resist. She didn't even flinch. She just turned back to me one last time, her eyes glinting with something dangerous. And she whispered, Don't betray me, Claire. Because if you do, you'll regret it. They dragged her away in handcuffs, the red and blue lights flashing through our windows, sirens wailing into the night. And I stood there, shaking, realizing that my life had just spiraled into something I could never escape. But what I didn't know then was that Emma had already planted something that would pull me into her revenge, whether I wanted it or not. Because the next morning, when I woke up, there was a letter on my nightstand, written in Emma's handwriting. And what it said nearly stopped my heart. The envelope was small, folded neatly, my name scrawled across the front in Emma's sharp handwriting. My stomach twisted as I stared at it, my hands shaking. I thought about burning it, just like she had burned that evidence in the backyard. But some invisible pull made me rip it open. The letter inside was short. No wasted words, no warmth. Just Emma, speaking directly into my head like she always did. Claire, if you're reading this, it means they've taken me. Don't be stupid enough to believe this ends here. There are things you don't know, things that will destroy you if you don't play your part. Don't trust Mom. Don't trust Dad. And for God's sake, don't trust the police. I've hidden something in the attic. Find it before they do. It will explain everything. Don't let me down. My breath hitched. My chest ached like someone had shoved a fist through it. The attic. I clutched the paper until it nearly tore in my hand. Every bone in my body screamed at me to stay away, to pretend the letter never existed. But Emma knew me. She knew curiosity would eat me alive. And maybe, just maybe, she was right. If I didn't find whatever she had hidden, someone else would. That night, after my mother finally cried herself to sleep on the couch, I grabbed the attic ladder and climbed up into the dark, dusty space. My heart pounded as I pulled the chain for the single hanging bulb, shadows dancing across the walls. At first, I saw nothing but old boxes, Christmas decorations, photo albums, broken furniture. But then I noticed it. A wooden chest, shoved into the farthest corner, covered in dust like no one had touched it in years. My hands trembled as I dragged it out. The lock on it had already been broken. Inside was a nightmare. There were photographs.
Dozens of them.
My father, in places he shouldn't have been. My father, with women who weren't my mother. Receipts. Hotel room keys. Letters written in his handwriting but never sent. And then worse. A small silver knife, its blade still faintly stained with something dark. My breath caught in my throat. Was it blood? I stumbled back, my mind spinning. Had Emma kept this here to frame him? Or had she kept it because she used it? My legs shook so badly, I nearly fell as I grabbed one of the photographs. That's when I noticed something chilling. The missing woman, the one found in the river, was in the photo, with my father, smiling.
Alive.
My knees buckled. The air in the attic was too thick, too heavy. I dropped the picture back into the chest and shoved it closed, my hands covered in dust and fear. That's when I heard it. The creak of footsteps. Not my mother's.
Too heavy.
Too deliberate. Claire, a man's voice called from below. The sound of it made my blood run cold. It was my father, the one who was supposed to be in jail. My hands flew to my mouth to stop the scream. My heart raced so loud I swore he could hear it. I know you're up there, he said, his tone calm, too calm. Come down. We need to talk. I stayed frozen, my back pressed against the wall, my eyes darting toward the chest. Did he know I'd found it? Did he know Emma had left me the letter? The attic ladder creaked as he started climbing up. My hands fumbled desperately for something, anything to defend myself with. My fingers closed around the knife from the chest, the cold metal searing my skin. And in that moment, I had a terrifying thought. What if Emma hadn't framed him at all? What if he really was guilty? The ladder creaked again. His head was almost through the attic opening. I raised the knife with trembling hands, my breath coming in sharp, shallow gasps. And then, his face appeared through the opening.
Sweaty.
Wild-eyed. Desperate. Not like the father I remembered. Like a man with nothing left to lose. Claire, he whispered, his eyes locking on the knife in my hand. Put that down before you do something you'll regret. The words made my blood run cold. Because it wasn't me he was warning. It was him. He lunged. And in that split second, my hand moved on instinct. The knife slashed through the air, the attic echoing with a sound I'll never forget, the guttural cry of my own father. Blood hit the wooden boards, and I realized I had just crossed a line I could never step back from. The attic was spinning. My ears rang. My father's cry still echoed in my head as I stared at him, his body slumped halfway through the attic opening. Blood seeped from his shoulder, dripping onto the floorboards, bright against the dust. My hands trembled, the knife slick and heavy now. I hadn't meant to do it. God, I hadn't meant to do it. He groaned, clutching his wound, his teeth gritted. Claire, what have you done? The words cut me deeper than any blade could. I dropped the knife, my knees buckling. I didn't know. You scared me. You came at me. His eyes burned into mine, not with anger, but with something worse, disappointment. You don't understand. You think Emma's protecting you, but she's not. She's setting you up. The air thickened, my chest tightening. What are you talking about? He tried to pull himself up into the attic, but his body gave out, and he collapsed backward onto the hallway floor. I scrambled down the ladder, my heart pounding like it was trying to rip through my ribs. My father lay there, pale, sweating, his shirt soaked in crimson. He grabbed my wrist with surprising strength, pulling me closer until his breath hit my face. She killed her, he whispered. His voice cracked, raw with desperation. It wasn't me. It was Emma. She wanted me gone, so she could control everything. Don't let her win, Claire. Don't. His words broke off into a cough that rattled in his chest. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But the chest upstairs, the photos, the knife, everything screamed that he was guilty. And Emma had warned me not to trust him. My world was tearing in half, and I was stuck in the middle. Before I could respond, headlights cut across the windows. A car pulling into the driveway. My heart stopped. The police. If they found my father here, bleeding, with me holding the knife, what would they think? My breath came in sharp, panicked gasps. My father grabbed my arm again, his voice urgent. Claire, listen to me. If they take me now, I'll never get the chance to prove my innocence. You have to help me. Please. The sound of doors slamming shut outside jolted me back to reality. Footsteps. Voices. They were seconds away from knocking. I looked at my father, broken, desperate, begging. And then I looked at the knife on the floor, gleaming with fresh blood. I had to make a choice. My mother stirred on the couch, waking to the noise. She stumbled into the hallway, saw my father on the floor, and screamed so loudly the whole neighborhood must have heard. The knock came at the door. Firm. Commanding. Chicago PD. Open up. I froze. My throat closed. My father's eyes widened, pleading. Claire, he whispered. Don't betray me too. The pounding at the door grew louder. My mother was sobbing uncontrollably, her hands pressed against her mouth. I knew whatever choice I made in that moment would change my life forever. And then, before I could move, before I could think, the front door burst open. Police officers swarmed inside, guns drawn. I screamed, stumbling backward as two of them tackled my father, pinning him to the floor despite his wound. Blood smeared across the tiles as they yanked his arms behind his back, slapping cold metal cuffs onto his wrists. Thomas Carter, you are under arrest for the murder of Margaret Hill, one officer barked. My father's eyes locked on mine, wild with rage and betrayal. Claire.
Tell them.
Tell them it wasn't me. But my mouth wouldn't open.
My voice was gone.
The officers dragged him out of the house, his blood leaving a trail across the floor. The red and blue lights flashed through the windows again, sirens splitting the night. And just like that, he was gone. My mother collapsed to the floor, sobbing so violently I thought she might choke. I stood frozen, my body numb, my mind replaying his words over and over. Emma set me up. Don't let her win. Hours later, after the chaos had quieted and my mother cried herself back to sleep, I sat alone in my room, staring at Emma's letter again. Don't trust Dad. Her warning echoed against his desperate plea. Don't let her win. Which one of them was lying? Which one of them was telling the truth? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was that both of them were pulling me into a game I never wanted to play. But the game had started, and there was no way out. The next morning, I woke up to a news alert buzzing on my phone. Breaking, Thomas Carter faces new evidence in murder case. Court hearing set for Monday. New evidence? My hands trembled as I clicked the article. And when I saw the photo attached, my blood ran cold. Because it wasn't just evidence against him. It was evidence that pointed directly at me. The photo on the screen nearly stopped my heart. It was a blurry image, grainy, like it had been taken from a hidden camera or security footage. But the scene was unmistakable. Me, in the attic, holding the knife. My hands trembling, my face pale, the blade gleaming under the single dangling bulb. The headline burned into my eyes. Daughter may have played role in cover-up. Authorities investigating. I dropped my phone like it was on fire. My pulse thrashed against my neck, panic clawing at my throat.
How?
How did they get that photo? Who was watching me? And then I knew.
Emma.
It had to be her. She wasn't just covering her tracks. She was dragging me into her plan. She'd warned me in that letter not to trust anyone, but what she didn't say was worse. She had made sure I had no choice but to be part of this. Because now it wasn't just about her. It was about me. The sound of my mother's weak footsteps pulled me back to reality. She shuffled into the kitchen, her face hollow, her eyes swollen from crying. She looked 10 years older than she did just 2 weeks ago. Claire, she whispered, her voice brittle. What have you done? Tears blurred my eyes. Mom, it's not what it looks like. I didn't hurt Dad, I swear. He came at me. I was scared. Her lips trembled, but she didn't speak. She just turned away, her silence cutting deeper than any words could. That was when I realized I wasn't just losing my father. I was losing my mother too. By noon, reporters had swarmed outside again, shoving cameras through the gate, shouting my name. I pulled the curtains shut and sank onto the couch, trembling. Every channel, every website, they all had my face plastered across it. Thomas Carter's youngest daughter under suspicion. The Carter family tragedy deepens. Daughter caught with possible murder weapon. It felt like drowning in quicksand. The more I struggled, the deeper I sank. And then, like a ghost, Emma returned. I heard the soft click of the front door. My chest tightened as she walked in, free. No handcuffs, no police escort. Just Emma, dressed in black, her hair tied back, her face unreadable. I jumped to my feet. How are you here? They arrested you. Her smirk was sharp enough to cut glass. Charges were dropped. Not enough evidence. Not enough evidence? My knees wobbled. Was she the one feeding them the photo of me while clearing herself? Why are you doing this? I demanded, my voice breaking. Why drag me into it? She walked closer, her eyes pinning me in place. Because, Claire, you've always been too soft. Too blind. You needed to wake up. Now, the world doesn't see me as the villain. They see you. And that means I can move freely while they're all watching you. Her words sliced me open. My hands shook. You're insane. You set me up to take the fall. She tilted her head, her smile cold.
No.
I set you up to survive. Think about it. If Dad goes down, the business, the money, the house, it all comes to us. But if I'm the only one standing, people will question. With you? With both of us tangled in it? They'll never know who to blame. Her logic was twisted, poisonous, but terrifyingly calculated. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to throw her out. But part of me knew she was right. With my face all over the news, I was already in it. Whether I liked it or not. Claire, she whispered, leaning close enough that I felt her breath on my ear. If you want to survive this, you'll listen to me. We're in this together now. And together, we'll win. Her hand slipped into her coat pocket, and she pulled something out. A phone. Not hers. She placed it in my hand. My stomach flipped when I saw the lock screen. It was the missing woman's phone. How do you have this? I stammered, nearly dropping it. Emma's eyes glittered. Let's just say I found it before the cops did. And what's inside is going to bury Dad for good. I shook my head, panic rushing through me.
No.
No, Emma. I don't want any part of this. If you keep pushing, they're going to lock us both up. Her expression darkened, her voice low, deadly. Then you better decide, Claire. Do you want to fight beside me, or die alone in a cell while everyone believes you killed her? My chest tightened, my heart thundering like a war drum. Because in that moment, I realized Emma wasn't just pulling me into her revenge. She was chaining me to it. And before I could even answer, there was another knock at the door. This time, not the police. When I opened it, standing there was a man in a dark suit, his eyes sharp, his voice calm but dangerous. Claire Carter, he asked, holding up a badge.
FBI.
We need to talk. The man's badge glinted under the porch light. FBI's Special Agent Carter Wells. His jaw was sharp, his eyes a piercing gray that seemed to cut straight through me. Behind him, a black SUV idled at the curb. The sight of it made my stomach twist into knots. Emma's hand tightened on my shoulder, almost possessively. What's this about? She asked, her tone sharp, like she already owned the conversation. The agent's gaze flicked to her, then back to me. We'd like to ask Claire a few questions. Alone. My mouth went dry. My knees wobbled. I felt like a mouse cornered by a hawk. Emma, of course, didn't flinch. She leaned in close to me, whispering so only I could hear. Don't say a word. Not unless I tell you to. Remember, they're not here to help you. They're here to bury you. Her grip on my shoulder tightened, and then she let go, giving me a smile so cold it made my skin crawl. Go ahead, Claire. Cooperate. I followed the agent to the SUV, my legs moving like they weren't mine. The car door slammed behind me, locking me in. The inside smelled like leather and something faintly metallic. He slid into the seat across from me, flipping open a file. My face stared back at me from the first page, me in the attic, knife in hand, fear frozen in my eyes. Do you know why I'm here? He asked, his voice calm, almost too calm. I swallowed hard. Because of a photo. He nodded once. That's part of it. But it's bigger than that. You see, your father's case is messy. Too many contradictions. Too much that doesn't add up. The police are convinced he killed Margaret Hill. But we're not so sure. My pulse quickened. You don't think he did it? Agent Wells leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine. We think someone else did. And all signs point to your sister. My breath caught in my throat. My body went cold.
Emma.
He slid another photo across the seat. My heart nearly stopped when I saw it. Emma, standing near the river where Margaret's body had been found. The timestamp showed it was the night she disappeared. You recognize her? He asked. I forced myself to nod, my voice shaking. That's my sister.
He didn't blink.
Claire, listen to me. Emma's dangerous. We've been watching her for months. She's smart, calculated, and she knows how to cover her tracks. But she's sloppy when it comes to you. That's why you're still alive. She needs you. She's using you. His words cut through me like knives. Because deep down I already knew. Still, a part of me clung to denial. But she's my sister. She wouldn't. She would, he said firmly. And she has. That photo of you with the knife? It didn't come from us. It didn't come from the police. It came from her. She's building a story where you'll take the fall. And when it's over, she'll walk away clean. Tears burned my eyes. My voice cracked. So, what do you want from me? He slid a small black device across the seat. A recorder. We want you to help us bring her down. Wear this.
Get her to talk.
Get her to admit what she did to Margaret. To your father.
To you.
We'll protect you, Claire. But without your help, we can't stop her. My hands shook as I stared at the recorder. It felt like holding a death sentence. If Emma found out, she'd kill me.
But if I didn't, she'd still destroy me.
I closed my eyes, my chest heaving. Emma's words echoed in my head. If you betray me, you'll regret it. And now the FBI was asking me to do exactly that. I opened my eyes, my voice barely above a whisper. If I do this, what happens to me? Agent Wells studied me, his face unreadable. If you help us, you'll walk free. But if you don't, when she finally makes her move, you'll be the one in prison. The car door opened suddenly, the blast of night air jolting me back to reality. Emma stood there, her smile sharp, her eyes glinting like she already knew everything. Ready to come back inside, little sister? She asked sweetly. I tucked the recorder into my pocket before she could see, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might give me away. As I stepped out of the SUV, Agent Wells's voice followed me, low and firm. Don't let her see through you, Claire. Your life depends on it. Emma's arm slid around my shoulders as she led me back toward the house, her grip tight, suffocating. And in that moment, I realized I was walking straight into a cage with the lion still inside. But this time, I wasn't just prey. I was bait. The recorder felt like it weighed 100 pounds in my pocket. Every step back into the house with Emma's arm looped through mine felt like I was dragging a chain tied to my own execution. Her smile was fixed, but her eyes, those sharp, predatory eyes, kept flicking to me as though she could hear every thought clattering inside my skull. You've been quiet, she said softly, almost sing-song, as we reached the kitchen. She poured herself a glass of wine, the liquid glugging out like blood. Agent Wells didn't scare you, did he? I froze. My throat clenched. What do you mean? She smirked, swirling the glass. Oh, Claire, do you think I don't know? Men like him always think they can save someone. They're so easy to predict. I bet he told you I was dangerous, didn't he? Her tone was light, but her gaze was heavy, deadly. I forced a nervous laugh. He didn't say much. Just questions. Emma leaned in close, her perfume thick, suffocating. Good girl. Because if you repeated even one of his lies, I'd be so disappointed. Her words slithered under my skin. Don't let her see through you, Claire. Your life depends on it, Wells's voice echoed in my head. I knew what I had to do. Slowly, carefully, I slid my hand into my pocket, pressing the recorder's button with the smallest motion I could manage. A soft click vibrated against my palm, nearly deafening in my ears. It was live. Emma sat across from me, sipping her wine, studying me. You know what bothers me? She said, tilting her head. Everyone thought Margaret was perfect. Sweet little Margaret. But she wasn't. She was a liar. A hypocrite. She had to go. My heart stopped. Did she just say it? My fingers trembled around the recorder, praying it picked up every word. I kept my face blank, afraid any reaction would tip her off. "Why do you say that?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Emma's smile widened, her teeth catching the kitchen light. "Because she deserved it."
And Daddy?
He was too weak to fix things. So I had to. I wanted to scream, to run, to throw the recorder in her face and tell her the world would finally know. But I didn't. I sat there, pretending to sip water, while my chest burned with every ragged breath. Emma leaned forward, her voice dropping. "The funny part is no one would ever believe sweet, quiet Claire could stand up to me. That's why you're perfect, you know. You'll always take the fall if I need you to, just like you almost did with that knife photo." Her words stabbed me deeper than any blade could. The recorder was still running, capturing every poisonous confession. I had to keep her talking. "What about Dad?" I asked, forcing myself to sound casual. "You let him rot in prison." Her expression flickered, just for a second. Then she chuckled, low and dark. "He should thank me. Prison's better than what I had planned for him." My blood turned to ice. Before I could push further, she suddenly leaned across the table, snatching my wrist. Her nails dug into my skin as her eyes narrowed. "What's in your pocket, Claire?" My stomach plummeted. The recorder. She tugged at my arm, her grip tightening. My mind screamed, "If she finds it, I'm dead." I forced a shaky laugh, trying to twist free. "It's nothing. Just my phone." Her hand darted into my pocket like a striking snake. My breath caught in my throat. And then, a loud knock rattled the front door. Emma froze, her head snapping toward the sound. Slowly, she released me, her lips curling into a suspicious smile. "Saved by the bell," she whispered. My heart thundered as she glided toward the door, her wine glass still in hand. I gripped the recorder in my pocket, praying it hadn't stopped, praying I had enough already. But as Emma opened the door, her face twisted into something I'd never seen before. Because standing on the porch wasn't Agent Wells. It was a woman.
Pale. Shaking.
Her eyes wide with terror. And when she spoke, her words shattered the room. "Please, you have to help me. Emma tried to kill me." The woman at the door clung to the frame as though the house itself might swallow her. Her clothes were torn, her arms mottled with bruises. Her voice cracked when she repeated, "Please, Emma tried to kill me." For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Emma's smile faltered, wine dripping from her glass onto the floor. Then, as quickly as a mask snapping back into place, she let out a laugh that echoed through the hall. "Oh, Claire," she said smoothly, turning her eyes on me. "You see? Another one of his pawns. Agent Wells will send anyone to spin stories." But the woman's terror was too raw to be staged. Her wide eyes darted past Emma and locked on mine. "Don't let her shut the door. She tried to drown me. I got away. Please don't let her." Emma slammed the door in her face. The thud jolted through my chest like a gunshot. She turned back, her eyes gleaming, her grin feral. "Liars everywhere, Claire. Don't you see? They'll say anything to destroy me. Just like Margaret." My fingers squeezed the recorder in my pocket. It was still running. Every word, every slip of her tongue, captured. But Emma was spiraling. Her voice grew sharp, frantic. "You don't understand what it's like to be me. Dad was weak, Margaret was rotten, and now everyone is against me. But you," she lunged forward, clutching my shoulders so hard it hurt. "You can still be on my side. You will be." Her grip shook me, rattling my bones. The smell of wine on her breath made my stomach churn. And in that moment I saw it. She wasn't just cruel. She was broken, dangerous, her world stitched together by delusions only she could see. I forced myself to nod, to steady my voice. "Okay, Emma. I'm on your side." The tension in her body eased. A flicker of relief softened her eyes. And that's when the pounding returned, this time louder, commanding. "FBI, open the door." Emma's head snapped toward the sound, her face twisting. She hissed, "You called them, didn't you?" Before I could respond, she bolted toward the back door. My heart leapt into my throat. If she escaped, everything, every risk, every bruise, every sleepless night, would mean nothing. I yanked the recorder from my pocket. She confessed. I screamed toward the front door. I have it. She confessed. The door burst open, Agent Wells storming in with 2 officers. Emma froze mid-step, caught between fight and flight. For the first time, real fear cracked her expression. Wells's voice cut like steel. Emma, it's over. We have everything we need. Emma's eyes darted wildly, from me, to Wells, to the woman still trembling outside. Her chest heaved, her hands shaking. Then she let out a strangled laugh, almost a sob. You all think you've won. But without me, Claire is nothing. She always was. The officers closed in. Emma didn't resist when they cuffed her. Her head hung low, her voice muttering words I couldn't catch. For the first time, she looked small. When the door shut behind them, silence flooded the house. My knees gave out, and I sank to the floor, the recorder clutched in my trembling hand. Wells crouched beside me, his voice gentler now. You did it, Claire. You're safe. Safe. The word felt foreign, fragile. In the days that followed, the truth unraveled in court. The woman at the door was a former roommate Emma had terrorized. Emma's confessions, recorded in my shaky hands, sealed her fate. My father was exonerated. But at night, when I lay in my bed, the echoes of Emma's voice haunted me. You'll always take the fall if I need you to. I knew she was gone. Locked away. Yet a part of me feared her shadow would always linger, whispering, waiting. Still, for the first time in years, the house felt lighter. The walls no longer pressed in. I wasn't Emma's pawn anymore. I was free.